we start with the vision of Anaphora. What is the vision of a place? Or what is the vision of every human being who lives on earth? So every person who has a life should have a vision, because God created us first of all with a vision. So the main idea of our creation is not just to be human. What is human being? Because human being has a vision that God has set since the beginning. Because in the first chapter, you read in the very first chapter of the Bible, in verse 26, he will say, like, let us make human being, let's make man on our image and likeness. So when God created human being, he created them with a talent, with a gift, with a grace, but at the same time with the responsibility, with the vision. So if we are able to understand the vision of our life, we are able to understand our life. Most of the time we are searching on what we have and what we can get, but we want it for ourselves, not knowing our responsibility. Let's go back to the first mission. When the evil started, what is the source of evil? What is the essence of evil? It's not when Adam and Eve took from the tree and ate. It started all before that. It started actually when they start to look away from God. Because the process started actually when a new idea starts to come to the mind of a human being. And when you have a new idea, you start to look at it, search it. But if you buy it, if you take it in, then it will definitely make a change in your own personal mind. So the things that you see, you will see it in a different way. What you understand, what you believe, you will start to change your mindset. So if you take the example of Adam and Eve, the tree that God told them not to eat from is there. Every day they were passing by and seeing it. Every day. Every day they were seeing it and not even looking at it. And not even wanted to come closer. Not even wanted to, there is no desire at all for it. But as soon as they start to see something else, they looked away from God and they start to see or to understand what the serpent is telling them. Their mindset has changed. So what they have, they start to search for. Because the mind is blinded at that time. Darkness starts to invade. And here is the source of evil. Because simply, what was the promises of the serpent to Adam and Eve, that the tree is good and you will not die and it's beneficial for you. You will be like God, knowing evil and good. This is the promises. Then here the human being starts to think something else. The tree starts to look different, starts to look beautiful. It's the same tree, but now it starts to look beautiful. And I never desired it, and now I desire it. It's delicious to eat. And now it's beneficial, it's very healthy, it's good to eat because I will get something out of it. And then what you will get, I will become like God. And here the blindness started, because what you already have been given is the image of God. And the vision is to be like God. So what you already search for, you already have been given by God. And that's the blindness of mind. So that means that we start to search for what we already have, then we lose it because you don't see it. As if someone is holding this cell phone in his hand. Example for me, for example, I am holding it and I start to search, where is my cell phone? Where is my cell phone? And I start to search for it and I'm holding it in my hand. Then everybody would look at me like fool. It's just what a fool person is. What he has is searching for. We do the same. And here, I'm inviting every person to search for the real vision in their life. Not with the vision of the word, not with the vision of the serpents, not with the vision that you look out, away from God. You look to Him. And when you start to focus on His presence in your own personal life, then you imitate Him. You imitate God Himself. Then you become really understanding. You will start to realize that vision that has been given to you. And that vision actually is the best that you can get. To be like God. So what God is doing for us is doing everything. But one thing that He is not actually pressuring us to do what we don't want. He wants to help you if you want. Without your will, without your freedom, it's not going to do anything. Because the first thing, the first commandment that God has given to us was simply, it's an expression of freedom. So imagine people would think that it's prevention, it's control, do not eat from this tree. Some people will look at it that it's God, why God prevented us to eat. He could have given it to us. It's okay, He would have been giving it and it's okay. But it's not freedom. God wants you to come to Him with your free will. So the commandment is an expression, is an opportunity to express your freedom, to express your love, to express your trust. If the serpent is telling you something and you don't believe in God and what he said, then go ahead, reap what you sow. Get what you're looking for. It's this. But at the same time, He is giving you a new commandment, and this commandment is an expression of freedom. So please don't look at the commandments of God as a limitation of your freedom, but on the contrary, it's an expression, it's an opportunity of your freedom. Then here, I wanted to put a place that would incarnate the vision, and the vision is the work of God in us, for us, to lift us up, to understand His vision for us. So the vision, actually, it's God's vision, to be like Him. And what is the best thing that you may experience the vision of God? For me, when we are in the liturgy, and you know, in the liturgy, we express our freedom and realize the presence of God in our life. Then we are lifted up. So the word anaphora is the word of lifting up, direction up, look up. So the word anaphora, phora is direction and ano is up. So it's a Greek word, direction up. So your own personal life will be directed up when you are in the presence of God. So first of all, here, what can lift a human being up more than the presence of God in his life or her life? But we cannot lift anyone up unless we are able to kneel down. Imagine you try to lift someone up when you are standing up and you try to pull them. And pull them, that means that you are higher and then they are lower and then you pull them up. Maybe you end up with a broken back. But if you kneel down and you lift them up, it's an expression of love. It's an act that Jesus did for us. And this is exactly the mind of Christ. The mind of Christ is he became human, he emptied himself to become human, and he became human for us, and he lifted us up. So you do the same. You can't lift anyone up unless you are able to kneel down. So learn how to kneel down. And kneeling down here is not about humility or about, it's about imitating Christ, the mind of Christ. And the mind of Christ was like, he came to me. He became like me. He assimilated himself with me as a human being. Can we assimilate ourselves with those who are missing something and we want to lift them up? Most of the time, our act is an act from distance. That's why we are not learning. But when we assimilate ourselves with those who need, with those who are missing something in their life, the weak ones, the grievy ones, those who are in pain, those who are in need, whatever it is, just try to feel them. Then you become in unity with one another. Then here you feel their feelings, then you are able to lift them up. And that's why, that's the idea of the whole place here. Kneel down, reach out to feel the rest of the people, the others. And the other could be someone who is feeling lonely, someone who is feeling marginalized, someone who feels like empty, someone who feels outcast, someone who feels in need, someone who is jealous, someone who is angry, someone who is just like whatever it is. Feel them. And then when you are able to feel them, you don't have to be angry like them, but you have to feel why they are. And then you are able to cool them down. Then you are able to lift the others if you feel them. So the vision of Anaphora is lifting every person up, the whole person. So try to lift up every person, the whole person. The globality of it is every person, the whole person. Do not segregate from others. And you segregate people from one another and say these people are good and those people are not. Because Jesus came for every human being, every person, the whole person. So that means the act of lifting up is an act for every person, is an act of the mind of Christ. You kneel down to lift the other up. And that means here, the first person that you need to lift up is yourself. It's yourself. And that's why when you go and see the church here today, today or tomorrow, or whenever you're going, as soon as you come to the church, you'll see a big eye over there. And this big eye, you look at yourself and have an eye contact with Jesus. And imagine if you were sitting in the eyes of Christ and you look through the eyes of Christ to the Word. What would you see? Imagine that you're sitting there and Jesus is asking you to look at something where you would like to look, because He is there in you, in your eyes, and you look through His eyes. So what would you like to see? When I asked myself that question, I told Him, I want to see me through your eyes. How do you see me as a human being, as a person? How do you see me? And I felt so much love. I felt so much value. I'm forgiven. I have a place. I'm secured. Nothing could hurt me. It's feeling His presence in you. It's the mind of Christ. It's there. And then when you start to look at someone else, another person, you will have the same feeling as well. You would see the other people through His eyes. So maybe this you could take with you through the trip. When you see someone, when you see some people, look at them through the eyes of Christ. But before you do that, train yourself to see yourself through the eyes of Christ first. Because if you are able to see that, then you are able to see the others. And I see that whatever we do in life here is simplicity of life, is because Jesus did that. So whatever you do in life, try to have Him in there. And you will see that the results is much more than you think. You will be comforted, you will be joyful, and no one can take away your joy from you. Remember that the vision is the most important thing. The vision is a hand from underneath to lift people up, every person, the whole person. But remember, you can't lift anyone up unless you are able to kneel down first. So kneel down first, then you will be lifted up. Thank you.